Welcome everybody to Eye of the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card reading. Today's reading is all about relationships and a particular, category of relationships. So this reading is for people who want to know what either an ex or somebody who's still in your life but has mysteriously gone no contact, or even someone that you're interested in but you're not sure, you're picking up signals from, but you're not sure whether this is towards a relationship or not and what's going on. It's somebody where there is a probably romantic type of connection, though we may pick up something around friendship as well too, which if we do, I'll mention as we go through. But in most cases, this is really about romantic relationships that have a mystery around communication of one form or another. So we're going to be asking what this person, your person, whoever you're thinking of, wants to say to you, wants to be able to say to you, would say to you if they're on a lie detector test, would say to you if they had the courage, whatever that energy is. So what they want to say, and in a sense whether or how they may say it or what might be blocking it for them, and also then what would be the impact for you if this conversation was to occur. So as always, the important thing is to connect into the right reading for you, the one that you resonate to. You can of course look at more than one if you want, particularly if there's more than one person that there's a mystery around. In that case, maybe try to determine which reading is for which when you're tuning in. But to help with that, I have a rose quartz crystal heart on pile 1, I have a red jasper on pile 2, and I have a dragon blood heart on pile 3. That may help you with crystal energy to tune in, or with the colour energy. Whatever works for you, pause the video if you need to, and then make your choice. But when you know which one is drawing to you, the timestamps will be in the description box below, and I'll see you in your reading. Welcome pile 1. I'm going to shuffle the Crystal Unity Tarot now to ask Spirit to tell us to tune in to your person and to what it is that they would like to express to you. So we will pull a number of tarot cards to give us a sense of that. What is the energy? What are we channeling through from your person? So Spirit, pile 1's person, what is it that they would like to express or say to pile 1? The first thing I get from this, I have to say, pile 1, is that there's a high degree of guilt this person is feeling, guilt or worry. I think that they feel that whatever the lack of communication is, or even if it's a crush and you're not really sure what's going on, there's a confusion in what they have communicated even leading up to this. And in some cases with the Magician reversed, it's possible that they haven't been honest with you. They've been literally telling you something that wasn't the case. In other cases, it may just be that they've hidden certain information from you. There is an issue about what is just or what is right around this, and they feel they've let themselves down. They want to be the King of Wands to you. They want to be, and this doesn't have to be about gender, but they want to be the sort of person who is very attractive to you, very charismatic, very self-actualized. That's how they want to appear to you, but they don't feel like they're that in reality. With the Knight of Wands reversed for a start, they don't feel that they are as successful and as vibrant as they would like you to see them as being. I think they would like to see you as someone see them as someone very creative, someone very dynamic, but they feel that in actual fact they're a little bit more pedestrian than that. And I don't mean that in a negative way. This is how they feel. This is what they're seeing. It's like they hold you in very high esteem. They want your admiration, but they feel like they can't get it. And it may be that in some cases they presented themselves in a way that wasn't honest because of that, and it wasn't able to be sustained. They felt in the end they would be found out and that justice would be served, and they're very guilty, they're very worried about that. So if they have just gone no contact on you, it might be because they felt something in their career or something in your relationship with them was going to bring this to the surface. it doesn't feel, Pole 1, like a double life where they're seeing someone else. It feels like they have presented to you something that is not true about them, like that they have some jet-setter lifestyle when in actual fact they don't, or that they're incredibly well studied when perhaps they aren't. And the sad thing is there's not a sense here that necessarily you wanted them to have to be the King of Wands. They could easily have been the Knight of Wands. That wasn't really what it was to you, but to them it was so important that you looked up to them that they would quite literally potentially lie about it. Or I'm getting that for some, they were going after some sort of achievement and that you knew about that and you were cheering them on. It may even have been a job or a contract or something like that, and it didn't materialise. And it's almost like they can't face you around that. They feel they've let you down. They feel they've let their sense of self down. They feel like whatever wonderful career or wonderful trajectory they were on has been halted. Things are just not making sense to them, and it's like they've gone into the shadows because they feel ashamed in some way. There is the possibility for some of you, I have to say, that there could be something around another relationship, and maybe one of longer term with the Justice card there. But the fact that Justice is the right way up, even with the Magician reverse, suggests to me that isn't going to be the case for most. But I just need to say that there is a possibility that there is some sort of legal tie around them that they have been hiding. That is the reason that they have withdrawn or can't talk to you. What they would like to say to you, I think, is that they want to confess to whatever this is. They would like to be able to put themselves out of the agony of wondering if you're going to find out. But they want to present it in a way that doesn't disappoint you too much. So let's ask Spirit for a little bit more information about what in particular they want to say, given it looks like they have withdrawn because they feel that they weren't able to live up to something for you. And when you broke up, this may have been what was going on as well too. You may or may not have known though about this, if this is a breakup. If it's a crush, they've just disappeared for some reason, or they're not connecting with you because they think you see something in them that they can't live up to. And if it's someone who's got no contact, and I think for most that's more likely the case, it's because something hasn't worked out in their life. But what would they actually like to say to Pile 1? They do want to talk to you. They definitely do want to talk to you. Even if they have disappeared, even if they've backed off, that's the first thing that's very clear here. They want to confess. They want to bring this out, and they want to show you a plan. They want to be able to say, this may not have worked out, or I might not be everything that you've thought, but I still can be. I have that capacity. I've just got things I've got to decide at the moment. I don't know how to make those decisions. I'm kind of a bit trapped in worrying about it. You know, maybe you can help me. You are so empathic. You understand. You have such a big heart. They really look up to you, Pile 1. They really do. This is, in a weird way, the problem, because maybe you are more successful in your career or whatever this is than they are. Or maybe they just think you're like a queen. You should be treated like a queen, and a queen needs a king. And again, this is not gender-based. I'm just talking about the energies. Like they have you on such a pedestal that sort of trap them. But I think they also want to say that they are not sure you would make the decision to be with them if they show you this. Like I think that they want to say part of how they see you is because you maybe come across as having quite fixed views about things sometimes with the Eight of Swords, and requiring sort of things like requiring the other half of a power couple. Now, this is not necessarily saying that's true of you, Pile 1, but I think they may think that. I think they may think that you have almost like a game plan around relationships, and that you've seen in them something, but they feel like they've kind of pulled the wool over your eyes, and they do want to confess, but they don't want you to think less of them. That's why they're sort of caught in this in-between sort of feeling around it. So the difficulty, I think, for you is that much as they do want to talk to you about this, The fear that they have may override it and may stop them from doing it. It may be that you could potentially communicate in a way that opens the line. If they've gone non-contact, but it's not that they've blocked you in any sense, it's just that they used to be the one who was the dynamic person who came forward, and now they've just seemed to have stopped doing that. You may be able to bridge that gap, and you may be able to move forward and make the communication that makes them feel a little bit more secure to have this discussion. The irony is that I don't think you require of them what they think you require of them. And I think also that they are probably more capable of creating and being who they want to be than they're giving themselves credit for. But they, for some reason, there's been a reversal, or they have presented themselves as something more than what they actually are. And that they just think that the chickens are coming home to roost around all that, and they don't want to seem lesser in your eyes. And if you do connect through and with this great deal of empathy, I think that they can see that you have. That's the area to be. Come from the heart, come from the emotions, don't come from the intellect. Even if you felt like, if they start to be honest with you about it and it's about something they haven't achieved in their life, and you could give them a really good idea about what to do, that would be the last thing you should do, because it will play into this sense they have that I knew it, this person is so far above me, and they recognise they need to kind of show me what to do when I'm feeling diminished and whatever. You need to sit in the heart energy and let that person come up with their own plans. So I don't think this is necessarily something that is over. Now, if it is an ex, they left for a reason like this. And I think what they'd like to say to you is that they have started to become more as the King of Pentacles than what they maybe tried to present as the King of Wands. This was kind of all show and drama. They have actually achieved something. So I think in that case, I think that maybe they would like to show you that they've now achieved this, but they're in two minds about doing it, because I think then they're feeling guilty about the way that they separated. I just don't think that they were honest with you, pile one, if that's the case. So let's ask from another tarot deck, what would be the impact on you if this conversation occurred? Like how would you receive that? What, if anything, would that do in your life now? It would actually have quite a big impact on your life. I think that the person that you're thinking of here, whether it's a crush who eventually can maybe have the conversation and you can get them to feel a little bit more at your level and more able to deal with this, or whether it's an ex coming back, or it's someone who's gone, any of these things, if the conversation could occur, there's a major breakthrough with the Tower. Now, the Tower could be crash through or crash. I think a lot of this will depend upon you, because it will depend to what degree this was a lie and to what degree the person has now developed. If you have a sense that they are just repackaging themselves but it's still not honest with you, then I think this conversation would be the thing that separated it all together. On the other hand, if you do feel that they've shifted and they've started to own who they are and started to self-actualize in a more real way, then I think, and you can empathize with that with the Queen of Cups, then the Tower could be the breakthrough that you need. Certainly the conversation brings justice into being. There is something that's not right about this. There is something that's not honest about it. And this brings that honesty, and that honesty does allow for the possibility with the Ace of Cups of a renewal of love, or if this is a crush, the beginning of love, and love that could be very long term if that's the case. But it hangs in the balance, and the reason that I say it hangs in the balance is we have the Two of Swords reversed here. So this person does want to have the conversation and does want to make the decision, but it's as though it's not a decision you can rush into, because there is still an issue that you have to process through, the Seven of Swords reversed, where things haven't been honest. So it's not a sugar-coated type of situation for you, I think, Pile One. It's not that even if you see and you understand what's occurred, you'll still have to work through what that means for the future. There does appear to be a heart connection there, But I think it's down to you. I think you will make that decision. That's why the Tower is there. You will make the decision if this conversation occurs about whether or not the lie that was somehow associated with this was such that you cannot trust the person again, or whether it was something that was more about insecurity and the person has developed and it's not going to repeat. And I don't think, even if you had this first conversation, that you're going to have that answer immediately. I think you're going to have to let that grow. You're going to have to work that out for yourself. Now, this is only if the conversation occurs. I do have to say that this person has a lot of fear, with the Nine of Swords being the first card there. And although they have a very strong wish to reconnect and resolve this, and I think to rekindle something if it's from the past, under a different footing in a way, or if it's a crush, to really get something started, you are going to have to make the decision about whether this person is fundamentally honest enough with themselves and with you to move forward. So that's kind of heavy and interesting. So let's have a look at some cards from a deck that's about healing. So what would need to heal in this connection if you were to hear this, if you were able to hear what they would like to say, which is something like a confession about not being true to you. I don't think it's cheating. I think it's not being true about who they were. If you had this confession from them, you understood this on some level, what would need to heal between you? Okay, so this is saying what needs to heal. I think it's also saying that there is something a little bit sort of spiritual about this connection. So, and also I think the Queen of Cups there, I think, is operating, as Scorpio, as a psychic energy. I think that you will get some guidance. So I think actually this suggests that for quite a few people, your person may come and have this conversation with you. They may get the courage to do it. Either they get courage from above, or I think even more to the point, you are going to get some guidance from above about working out whether this is the right thing or whether it's just another version of the same old. But the thing that does need to heal is victim consciousness. And my feeling is this is not you. Even though I think that you may feel that you've been abandoned or been lied to or been distanced from in some way, I don't think that you carry a victim consciousness about this. I think you're just bemused about it, but I think they carry it. There's something in them, and this may well come from their childhood or from previous relationships, which made them pretend to be something more than they were. And but the sort of the backlash of that is that they believe, of course, that if they are then honest, that they will become a victim of their own honesty. So their fear about being a victim, their fear about not measuring up, is the thing that would have to heal for this. And I'm not sure at this point, Pile 1, whether that's possible to do. If it is, they have to do it. You cannot do it for them. If you, in some way, you could potentially, in certain circumstances, connect again, if they haven't, as I say, blocked you or something, but you cannot be their therapist. You cannot be the person who gives them a sense of self. They have to have a sense of self separate from you, or they will always feel lesser than you, and this will just keep happening. So let's ask another oracle about the energy between you that they feel. Like, what is the energy that they see at the moment that connects to what they'd like to say to you? Okay, so this is interesting, Pile 1. Firstly, healing is reversed. So at the moment, they do want to do it, but they're not feeling confident to do it. They're not feeling confident yet. They may have gone quite a long way towards creating who they wanted to be, but I'm not sure that they really believe they can heal this connection, or they can heal themselves enough to truly be who you would want them to be, or who they think, because I think it's who they think you want them to be, rather than who you actually do want them to be. But I think at the moment, their sense is something is broken, something is not healed between you. They do have a sense that patience and time might help. The problem with that, I think, Pile 1, is that they may be the sort of person that thinks enough time passes and we can almost brush that aside and not even have to have the conversation. Right now, they know they have to have the conversation. Right now, they want to be honest. But over a period of time, they may feel that need less and less. With the Justice cards coming up twice, it is possible for some people that's come here that there is, maybe you were exes and you were connected through family, through children and things like that. So this could be picking up that there's a family connection that means they do need to have this conversation, but they feel they've let that down. I'm getting that maybe even in some cases they may have left you with the children when they just kind of checked out, when things weren't working out, when the career didn't work out, whatever it is. They do still have a strong sense of that, if that's the case. If it's not connected to that, then something about their sense of self goes back to their family and to this victim consciousness. So it's helpful for you to be aware of it. I think they'd like you to be aware of it. I think they'd like to lay it all out for you, but I'm not sure that they're going to do it yet. They're not healed enough yet, and I think there is a little bit of cowardice, and I don't mean to be too harsh about this, but it's kind of like the first reaction when things didn't work out and they could be seen for who they truly are rather than who they presented. They kind of ran away, and they might also run away ultimately from the thing if they feel over time that it's not an issue anymore for some reason. So let's have a look at the feelings that they have around you at the moment, pile one. Okay, so that's not all bad news, which is good. I mean, they certainly are very drawn to you, which is sort of the sense. I think that they really admire you, and that's in a weird way part of the problem because they want to be able to reach your level, and they do find you intoxicating, but they need to release those low vibrations, and that's what they'd like to be able to say to you that they've done, but I don't think they're there yet. They are still a bit perplexed. They need to figure all this out, and really they need to figure themselves out. But I think they also need to understand who you truly are, because I think they've been so focused on presenting themselves to you in some way and then feeling that didn't work, so running away, that they didn't really think about who you were. They just put you on this pedestal and presume that was it. So I think they need to kind of grow up a little bit, to be honest, and understand that we were all complex human beings. If they could be happy. And I think they think your light's contagious, but I also think that they really enjoyed being with you. And if it is a crush, they enjoyed being around you, but for whatever reason, they're just not feeling, as I say, they can live up to what you might want from them. But there is a sense that they think there is happiness to be had with you, that there's a real sense of loss. That's why they put so much into it, but it was just the wrong way to put it into it. And they know, and they want to say it, but I think they are really push-pull. That's why the Two of Swords were coming up, both reversed and also the right way up in the Crystal Unity Tarot. They get push-pulled. I can literally see some of them picking up the phone, just about to dial you, just about to text, and then stopping, and then doing it again and stopping. Waking up in the middle of the night having had a dream of you and thinking, I really, really, really want to talk to this person, and then not doing it. So you'll probably have to have patience, but I think you've got to decide even whether this is sort of the right energy for you anyway. So last but not least, we'll channel a few messages for you. This could have words that they would like to say to you. It could also have timing and things like that as well. So Spirit, what are some of the things that this person would like to say to pile one, if they could have this conversation, if they could get the courage to have the conversation, which I think is the key thing. Okay. Well, that kind of fits with what we're saying here. Within a few weeks, I do feel, because I do have a very strong feeling that they do want to connect. You may find that they do, or that an opportunity comes for you to make that connection within a few weeks, or that you will get information in some other form that helps clarify this within a few weeks. But there's a sense of urgency about it. But they're saying you deserve better. I'm not worthy of you. I'm ashamed for what I've done. Oh, but come back. So maybe you left, pile one. Maybe it wasn't them, but maybe it was because they checked out on some level before. Or maybe they left and now they almost want to project that on you. And so this is, but they don't feel that they're quite there yet. I think there's quite a lot of potential they could be, but like it really is going to come down to you if they do get the courage up, and I'm not really sure that they will, but if they do get the courage up, then you've got to somehow get them to deal with that stuff. You would not be able to tell them it's fine. They would have to come to that conclusion themselves, but nevertheless also make amends. And then I think they need to ask you literally to come back. I don't think that it's up to you to ask them. So they're a complex case, pile one, but it's because they want to be more, or they wanted to be more than they think they are. It's an insecurity issue, but it made them behave badly. And for some of you, it might have been significantly badly and significantly dishonestly, and or leaving you from a much more established situation, leaving you literally holding the baby, so to speak. So they really do have to atone, and they might. But this isn't, it really is in the balance, and even if it happens, it's in the balance for you. And the two things there are, one is you cannot give them a sense of self. They have to find it themselves. And if they feel like you're advising them how to do it, it's going to have the opposite effect. But the second thing is you have to decide, have they changed enough in terms of basic honesty with themselves and with you to go forward. So I hope that resonates, and I hope it's helpful. It's a tricky energy. It does have the potential for reconciliation, or if it's a crush, to make it something, but it's got its work cut out for it. And a lot of it has to do with the bravery of this person who hasn't necessarily had a history of being terribly brave. So I wish you well, whatever you want from this, and I hope that it was helpful. If so, please like the video and subscribe. And if this does resonate and you can see it, very, very happy to hear about that in the comments. Beyond that, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 2, to your reading. So I'm going to start with the Crystal Unity Tarot. And the first question that I'm going to ask for you for this is, what would your person like to say to you? Like, what is the key message that the person would like to say to you? So Spirit, can you let us know what pile 2's person would like to say to them if they had the opportunity to do it? And if they were being really honest as well. Okay, so as I said in the introduction, I'm taking that this could be one of a number of things. This could be someone who is an ex, who is still thinking about you, or that you're curious as to what they would say if they could talk to you now. It could be someone who's gone on no contact. It could be someone who's just being mysterious in general, or it could be a crush. I think this person, I think in most cases this is probably an ex or someone who's gone on no contact. And the no contact could be a crush who's sort of backing off in some way. And the reason I say it is I feel like your person would like to say to you that they were really excited about meeting you, knowing you, going out with you if that was what was happening, being with you, whatever it was. There was a real sense of destiny and dynamism and going somewhere, and a new thing in their life. Like, you represented something really new and really exciting to them, but they just weren't necessarily sure if they were ready. Because with the Magician reversed, it's a sense of not being able to fulfill all of the possibilities here. I don't feel in this case like the Magician reversed is that they were being dishonest. I don't think that was what was going on. I think that they felt not quite up to the task of what this was, of the potential of it. Possibly because they've been through some really difficult relationships in the past. With the Ten of Swords reversed, that suggests that they at the stage they met you, or at the stage that they kind of went a bit no contact, or if they're a crush, when they're around you, there's a sense of this promise that is reminding them. It's like they'd want to say to you, it reminds me of something that I felt before, and that didn't go where I wasn't ready. It sapped my strength. It took so much out of me. It was really dramatic. I just don't know. I don't know enough about you. I don't know enough about me. I'm just really nervous about something that causes so much excitement for me on one level and is so appealing on one level, but I don't know whether or not I'm ready for it. So it feels like someone who could have potentially really started a life with you in some way. It might have been someone who got very close to a commitment and then they went cold or disappeared. Or it could be someone that you can feel a really strong frisson with. It's like a crush and you can feel it coming back at them, but they're sort of saying, I'm just not sure. I don't know if I can go with this. I don't know if I'm ready for this. I don't know. It is possible for some too, because this is so new, that they could be saying also, particularly if it's a crush, like I haven't fully left a former relationship yet. It isn't fully resolved. I'm not yet ready. Don't push me. So that's a possibility as well with this. If it's been a dramatic relationship that's breaking up, but maybe is sort of half on, half off, and then you're here representing the new. But I think for many, this is someone who broke up with you or went no contact because they got a bit overwhelmed by what they felt. They got a bit overwhelmed by the possibility because they didn't feel ready. They've been hurt before, or they just don't feel ready for some reason and they don't feel up to it. So let's ask a little bit more about what they would say in this conversation. Let's ask for a little bit more clarity in what they want to tell you. Pile 2. This is a very interesting person, I think, pile 2. I think that what they would say to you is, I am used to being able to take on anything. I am used to being able to see things through too. Like, it's part of who I am. Once I start a journey, I commit to it. I see it through. I'm really used to doing that, and I'm used to being out in the world doing it. They may well have some form of public presence, I think, this person, or may be destined to have that. They're on a trajectory to that. And they live very much on the surface. It's like, this is why I don't feel that this is dishonest. I feel that this is just not feeling ready to take whatever this on. So they're saying to you, I know that I maybe came on a bit strong. I think they may have been really keen to start with, and I've really sort of like drawn you out as well too. But very quickly I decided, I saw you and I just was fascinated, and I really, really kind of pursued you. I think they probably pursued you. This is what's confusing about it, because then they kind of back off. But they say, and I do want to go the distance, but there's something that's affecting their self-esteem. There's something, and I'd say it was a past relationship where they didn't feel recognised and acknowledged in some way, and there's still some residual thing from that they're dealing with. So as I say, it's either is a relationship that's not quite over, so you kind of came across them when they were still in and out of a relationship, or it's a relationship that was still lingering mentally on them and had really made them feel like, maybe my choice isn't as clear as I thought it was. And so the very strength of the attraction that really quickly made them come out and say, yes, this is it. I mean, I really feel, if you've come to the right pile 2, that they pursued you. I don't think you were any doubt. So even if it's a crush, they sent out all the signals, but then something happened. They broke up with you, they went no contact, or they're a bit push-pull, and sometimes they seem to be really interested and other times they seem to be really distant. But it's got something to do with, they would be telling you, it's got something to do with either a relationship they haven't resolved and completed yet, or one that they haven't resolved internally, that really shook them to the core, that to the degree that they feel fascinated by someone, they're also going to feel a little bit frightened that that's the harbinger of pain eventually. So that's, I think that they would say to you, it's not that I wasn't interested in you, it's not that I didn't feel drawn to you, it's I just don't know. The more that I feel drawn to somebody, the more that I feel like it's inevitably not going to work because X, or I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I was drawn to you, I acted really quickly, I really wanted something there, but I really hadn't resolved this past relationship, it really wasn't completed. And if that's the case, it might have been one of quite long standing, and it was very dramatic in the way, it was really hard to let go. I do think this is part of their personality as well, pile 2. I think once they've committed on some level, and they had to some degree with you, then it's hard for them to let go as well. This is a classic feeling, the push-pull. I have to say, you might find that they come back into your life and then they disappear again, and they come back and they disappear. It might be one of those sorts of energies, and they may be triggered by other people being interested in you, and then they sort of like back off, and then they get triggered again. So let's ask another tarot pack about the impact for you if this conversation happened. If they came and explained to you what it is that made them kind of back off or go silent or go all mysterious, if they were honest about it, and they may or may not be, to be frank, not because I think they're meaning to be dishonest, but because particularly if it's another relationship that haven't resolved, it's a difficult conversation to have. But if they were able to express this and explain this to you, what impact would it have on your life? Okay, so this is, interestingly enough, a bit push-pull as well. And why I say that, I mean, for a start, I think that both of you both got the Fool here. Both of you, and that doesn't make you foolish, this is about both of you really saw this as a new adventure. There is, you see a lot of value in this as well too. You were just as excited about it. And it seemed to come out of the blue to you with the Knight of Swords. And if this conversation occurred, it would also come out of the blue to you. It would come at the time you least expected it. But your first reaction to this is, oh, there maybe is still a journey for us, but you sit a little bit in two minds because of what you've experienced before. You definitely have a connection. There's a heart connection with this person, and there is also passion. Like, there's no doubt that there was a strong mutual attraction here, and that would come back again, but you are sitting here as well. And maybe you have been all along. Maybe it was both of you. Maybe part of what your person would say to you is, yes, I know I did that, but to some extent you were doing it too. It kind of suited you. So if we're to take this to the next level, to get to the world, we both have to kind of own that. That's a possibility. Or I think it's quite likely that you would go, I want to see that this energy, this sort of not ever making a decision, not going forward, that we can move through that and we can make the commitment. Then I'm happy to open my heart again and to go into the passion and go on the journey with you, but not until I know that there's a full decision there, I think is what you would say to them. So a lot of it has to do with whether or not they've resolved what this sort of energy is. I think if they do, they're likely to contact you again. If they don't, if it's more internal and they don't, then they might not. If they do, though, I do think it's wise for you to sit in that sort of space for a while, because there is such a push-pull thing here that I wouldn't want to guarantee that they wouldn't go into that pattern again. This might be something about them, and this is going to be different people coming to this reading that will apply for, and some it won't. But there is, the caution is advised, because the connection is there, but if you have a connection where the very degree of attraction is the thing that creates the fear and the withdrawal, that can be a really confusing, difficult energy to deal with over time. So if the conversation was to occur, let's ask Spirit what would need to heal between you, either in each of you or in the relationship itself, or particularly in your person, whatever Spirit wants to tell us. That's interesting. So firstly, the alchemy is there, and I think that's actually not about healing. I think it's a confirmation that there really is a very strong attraction between you. There's no doubt about that. And even if it was a sort of strange and mysterious breakup, or if it's a crush that never seems to land, there is an attraction. But cycles, the cycles need to heal. There's something in this person, and possibly in you, but definitely in this person, where they cycle in and out of attraction, sureness, moving forward, and doubt and lack of confidence and moving away. And they may in fact even be, with the Five of Swords, the sort of person who precipitates an argument so that they don't have to own it. In fact, that may have been for some of you how it broke up. It might have been that they precipitated an argument between you, possibly saying you didn't recognise them or appreciate them, with the Six of Wands reversed. But it really wasn't about that. It was about something else, if that's the case. But there are cycles. So those cycles that they go through need to heal. It's a double message, because it also says that if they do sort that out, you can cycle into a new journey of the Fool. You could move forward, but But you need to know, I think, that they're not going to cycle back into that energy and that pattern again. So let's ask what they're feeling about you and them now. It's interesting that card came up for one of the others in that position. I think in this case, family, I think this may be picking up patterns from their family. Maybe they came from a broken family, for instance, or something that makes them think that it's difficult to sort of like create a loving, long-term, completed relationship. I think it's what they want with the world. Again, they do want that. They want to go from the Fool to the World. They want to achieve that. And arguably, they certainly wanted to do it with you and may still want to do it with you. But I think there's something, maybe some of these cycles and patterns come from their family. They don't think they should be forgiven, to be frank. And they don't really think they deserve your support around this. So I do think that they went cold, they went distant, and they maybe part of it was because they hadn't resolved something before, and they might think, yeah, there I went and did it again. So there's a side of them that just doesn't feel like they deserve to be able to come back. In fact, I think that's part of the Six of Wands reverse as well too. It's not just that maybe they could have precipitated an argument with you to say you weren't appreciating them, but I think it might also be that they literally don't think they deserve that recognition. So they have to work through that before anything could occur. Regardless of whatever love there was, they've got some issues, as they say. So let's have a look at how they're feeling in relation to you at the moment, pile 2. So they are a push-pull person even within themselves, because at first, until I got to that card, I was thinking, oh, good, maybe for all that they don't really feel they deserve it, they're building up the courage to have the conversation, which then allows you to make the decision. I'm not necessarily advocating that you got back with them. That's going to be a matter for you. But I'm thinking, well, that's good. There's fearless. They're going to expand their comfort zone. They're going to maybe stick to the pathway that they're on and maybe make that contact, and they're inspired. You know, they're breathing life into the ideas around this. But then we've got guilty. It is saying I make peace with the past. So it is a possibility that you will hear from them and they do want to make amends at the very least. But if it's more than that, or if you want it to be more than that, as I say, it's going to be down to you deciding, and it's going to really probably be whatever this was. Was it just them not feeling ready and now they do feel ready? Or was it they had another person from their past that they were still with? Is it a pattern that they have? So I think they vacillate between really wanting something, really, you know, the chariot, fool energy, getting out there, making a judgment quickly, just going with it, and then feeling guilty about not having a follow through. So I think they're still cycling through those energies, I would say. So last but not least, let's ask for some channeled messages. Sometimes this picks up timing, but a lot of it is just the kinds of things. So what that they would like to say. So Spirit, what would this person, what else would this person like to say to pile 2? Okay. So there is no me without you. That's the feeling of the world, the Fool to the World. They really did see a lot of promise in this. And if you felt that too, you were not wrong. And if it's a crush that just didn't seem to materialize, you're not wrong. They definitely did see that. And that's that sense of family as well too. I don't think it's that they didn't want a longer term relationship with you. I think it's just whatever was going on within them or around their life. So there's no me without you, but I know I messed up. And yes, they did. They would like you to open your heart space. I think because they know on one level or another that that's the key, that you need to be the one that makes the decision. And they're asking, has too much time passed? So I'd say there's been a while for most of you since you've heard from this person. They also know they let their ego get in the way, which is the Six of Wands reversed underneath there. And it's also the Magician reversed in a way. That could be egoic stuff. But I think it is also about not wanting to be honest about something. But even if it is somebody else around, I don't feel like they were per se cheating on you. I think it was someone from the past that they hadn't fully disconnected from, if that makes sense. So this person would like to have a conversation with you, pile 2. They would like to revisit this, I think. But I think it is going to come down to you, and I think it is wise if they do this, and I'm not sure if they will have the courage, and I would not be suggesting to you that you try and contact them, because that will not probably trigger what you need at this point in time. That would probably let them think, oh, maybe, you know, enough time's passed so we can just forget about it or whatever. This does need to be resolved if that's the case. And you do need to know this isn't just something that's going to happen over and over. And some of that would have to do with what they said to you if they did talk to you. But I definitely think, even if it never occurs, that they would like to say to you that it wasn't that they didn't love you. It wasn't that they didn't care for you. It wasn't that they didn't see a future. It was just something else, themselves or a prior relationship was still stopping them from making that commitment, was making them fearful about whether they could actually take it forward. So I think they would really want to say to you, it wasn't you, it was them. And I think it is actually one of those times where that is true. It's not just a cop-out thing to say. So I hope that was helpful, pile 2, and I hope it resonated for you. If so, please like and subscribe. And if you have any comments, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 3. So we're going to start with the Crystal Unity Tarot, and we're going to ask Spirit to let us know what it is that this person that you're thinking of would like to say to you now, if they could, if in a safe space they could speak their truth. What would they want to say to you? Wow, I think they have quite a bit to say to you. I think they've been dealing, I think they would be saying, I've been dealing with some pretty big demons. I've been trying to get strong again. I think they would be saying that something in their life had been full of conflict and possibly going in the wrong direction or the wrong path. I am getting, for some, there could have been addiction or substance abuse or something like that potentially that clouded what they did. For others, they may have been quite obsessive with you or obsessive about other things. But that was the strength and the sun side of them, fighting with the Magician reverse and the Devil, and the fight is the 5 of Swords. So it's very much an intellectual battle. I think when you first came across this person, or if you've come across them now and they're just an enigma and you're drawn to them, but they're an enigma. But I think for many, this is something of some long standing, and probably an ex. I think that they would say to you that their life was very complicated and they really didn't know fully how to deal with their emotions, particularly their attraction to people. That, like, the stronger the attraction was, then the more that it brought up the shadow. So the brighter the light, the more the shadow. The stronger the attraction, the more there was a kind of a separation. They would say, I'm at war with myself. You need to understand that it's not about you. It's about the fact that I haven't worked out how to be in relationships in a way that is healthy. I haven't worked out how to be in a relationship with myself in a way that is healthy. I do believe in it, and I do want the joy and the strength of a connection, and I really felt that with you. I think with them you were the sunlight, you were the strength, you were possibly someone who represented everything they felt they weren't. You look like someone who's positive, someone who they think is strong and stable, and I think they felt the other way around. They got quite obsessed with you, I think, and possibly they pulled away or went non-contact or separated from you because they couldn't handle that. They couldn't handle who they were becoming when they were around you, and they possibly acted out in ways that were not good, that were obsessive or strange and confusing to you, but it had to do with the mental conflict that they had and a sense that they didn't feel worthy. I am getting for some that they could have been drawn into fairly dark spiritual sort of things. So there could have been that energy around them as well too. And I think you represented, what they would want to say is you represented the light. You represented a healthy way of being, but they didn't feel that they were healthy. They feel like even being with you, they might have drawn you into the darkness. So if they were with you and difficult to be around and a bit tempestuous and a bit controlling, it came from that. It came from almost their own demons that they had to deal with. And they really wanted the light with you, but maybe they felt they couldn't stand in the light with you. This is quite heavy, I have to say, pile 3. I feel like you were dealing with someone who was potentially quite controlling, quite manipulative, but it came from fear. It came from an expectation of loss and lack, and from such a real obsession with what they thought they could get from you. But like, if they left you, you may well have left them actually. This almost has an obsessive energy. They may be someone in your life who you can't really get away from, and they may be wanting to explain it to you, and they want to be honest with you. So there's that energy as well too. So if it's someone who's a bit inexplicable, who is around when really you can't see why they would be around anymore, then it's got to do with the fact that they projected the light on you while they projected the darkness on themselves. So this is pretty heavy sort of energy. Let's ask Spirit for some clarification on what they would want to say to you, because I almost feel like this is someone that you stepped away from, not the other way around. But I could be wrong about that. It could just be that they did because they had this realization and you were like left thinking, what happened? But Spirit, can we have a little bit more clarification on this rather intense and strange energy? Yes, we're sort of saying a bit more of the same, I have to say. You were such a light to them. You know, they would say to you, you were everything that you know, I admire. I really, really loved you. I really adored you. You're everything I felt I wasn't. You represented sort of the healthy, self-actualized person. I represented the sort of stunted, obsessive person, the kind of like caught. And part of me wanted to catch you. Part of me wanted to make you more like me, but equally I didn't want that because I wanted you. I wanted to be like you. It's like you were a muse to this person. It's like you were, inspirational. You represented something that they wanted to aspire to, but they never felt that they could. They thought there was a way they could be healthy around you. I think they want to tell you, like, I was drawn to your light. I was drawn to everything that's healing about you. But I also felt that the more you were around me, the more that the shadow could come into you, and I really loved you and I didn't want that to happen. We were on different paths. We weren't, it might have felt like we should have been on the same path, but we really weren't. I was going in a different direction to you. I'm kind of almost karmically drawn in a different direction to you, and I didn't want to be around or stay long enough for you to see that, or potentially I still wanted to hang on to you, but you had to leave me, and I understand that you had to leave me. I think they thought that you were more conventional and reliable than they were. I think they were saying you're just so different to me. You've got it all worked out. I don't have a clue. They seem to be saying I'm creative and chaotic and mad and a bit obsessive, and you represented so much to me. Like, this is a very, very powerful energy, but it's like Beauty and the Beast, where they're the beast, but they don't believe that they can be loved by you. They didn't believe that they could be loved by you. They didn't believe that the enchantment could be broken. So it's possible they withdrew before that happened, or it's possible that you withdrew and they're still kind of around a bit, and you're kind of like, well, what is going on here? Because they were probably always shadows and light to you, always hard to really read. They were probably not exactly honest. You probably had a sense that they were doing things or saying things that they didn't connect. But it's all got to do with these demons they were battling and the high regard that they held you in. So it's interesting energy, pile 3. Let's then ask if they had this opportunity to have the conversation with you. And I'm not entirely sure, to be honest, if it would be good if they did, to be frank. But look, let's just go with it and go with the structure of the reading. If they did have that chance to have that conversation with you and they were honest, what impact would that have on you or your life? We're using a different pack to see this. Oh, wow. This is really interesting but challenging energy, pile 3. The devil. It brings an obsessive energy back into your life. And it is obsessive. I can't sugarcoat it. It may give you some peace of mind about it. You may even be able to give them some peace of mind. But they are still very much drawn to your sun. So the sun energy is there again. It's you. You are the light in this relationship. You are the light in this connection. It's really up to you. And it's possible that you could resolve it through that. But I think the most likely thing here is that you are likely to move away from it rather than towards it and see it as a spiritual learning. I think there's something deeply karmic in this, actually. I think that there's something past life related or even soul twin contract, but like not in an easy sense. It could be a twin flame thing, but I feel like you're so different. You're almost like opposite ends of the continuum. So I think it's more like you maybe had some sort of agreement before being born that this connection would occur so that you would bring to the surface and shine light on their darkness so that they could start to come out of the darkness. But I think the risk about having the conversation, even if it resolved the situation for you, even if you understood it better now, is that it could bring it back. And I think you know that. I think you know that you have to travel with your own light and your own spirituality and move away, to be frank. But let's just see, let's ask Spirit what would need to be healed in this relationship for the conversation to occur and for the choice to even be there. Okay. So, again, I really do get the sense, pile 3, that you are probably better off not rekindling this or not pursuing it if it's a crush, because there is the whole thing of entrapment, the whole devil obsession has to be healed. It's the only way. If you had the sense that that was healed, but the fact that it's turned up again there, I think at first you won't feel that. It might be that you can say after a period of time of separation, possibly, but not now, because you'll sense that. There is maybe a sense here that you could be at home with each other, but only when that energy was shifted, because it's really not going to connect in a way that's healthy for you until that's shifted. And I don't know at this point if this person is there yet. Let's ask them what they're feeling. Let's ask Spirit to channel from them what they're feeling about you and the relationship between you at the moment. Okay, they definitely want your forgiveness. They know there is a darkness or something that they've done that they need forgiveness for, and it's probably just not being that honest while they were that obsessive. They feel that you give them self-worth. See, this is a mirror again. Like, I feel like they look to you to be their light side, and I just think that's a very big responsibility that you need to be aware of, because they're not feeling that self-love comes from the relationship. It's self-worth. And in some ways, if you think about it, for a healthy relationship, self-love has to be there in both parties. That creates a self-worth. But at the moment, they don't have that yet. They're still looking for that. I do think if they were back in your orbit, they would be saying to you, well, they'd like to be honest about that, but they'd like to tell you that they're ready to move forward and they hope you are. I don't know that that's true, to be frank. Let's have a look at what their feelings are around you right now, pile 3. Okay. Yeah, they've got some figuring out to do yet. They're perplexed. I think they know that they've been obsessive and strange, but I think they don't even know entirely why, and they do need to sort that out. Sometimes they get angry about it. So maybe this is picking up that sometimes I think it might have been you that moved away, but even if not, they're angry, maybe angry with themselves. They're holding themselves in check. But they're also feeling a bit lost. I think if they do reconnect with you, if they did have this conversation, it's not anytime soon, because I think they're still sorting out a lot of stuff, and that's probably good. I think this is just saying if it happened right now, the energy is not right for it. So they do need to sort those things out, and they need to, I think their anger is really self-directed, but it gets projected out because you were supposed to solve their darkness, and you can't do that. No matter how much light you shine, you cannot solve their darkness. They have to solve it. So let's finish up with some channeled messages from them. There might be some timing around this, but also there'll probably be things that they would want to say to you if they could. So let's finish up with that energy. Okay. So, get to this in a minute. But what they're saying, there are so many unsaid emotions between us, and yeah, that's very true. And I think it's in both directions, because this is very deep stuff. This is very deep psychology stuff. And frankly, I think they probably need therapy. And whether or not they'll get it, I don't know. But there's a lot to dig into. They do know they messed up. And whether that's then you left and they're still feeling a bit angry about that, or whether they moved away because they couldn't deal with it anymore, I'm scared you won't look at me the same way. So there probably was a very strong attraction between you. But as I say, it feels more like they look to you for the light. They look to you for inspiration, that kind of thing, a kind of idolatry of you as much as anything else. So I think they're still needing to work through a lot of that. There's no shift in this anytime soon. We do have spring, summer. Now that could say that something is going to come up, you're going to learn something, or they come to you. But the thing that I got when I put it down was that lyric, you've got a friend as the song. So I almost get a sense that they would like you to contact them. That's what I'm getting from that. And then spring, summer turning up, I feel as though there's, you just have to call me. You've got a friend, I'm here. But that's because they're not really dealing with who they are yet and what they wanted from you. So, pile through, I'm sorry that it's a little bit heavy, because it is a little bit heavy. And I can't sugarcoat something like this because it's quite a serious energy. It doesn't ultimately rule out resolution, but this person has a lot to do, a lot of work to do. And if they look to you to help them, it defeats the purpose. So if there was to be some form of reconciliation, or even some sort of explanation of this, it's probably not the right time for that to happen. I hope that's not too much of a downer as a message. I hope it's helpful. If so, please like the video and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And if you know what this is about and you can sort of see it in your life, I'd be very happy to hear about it in the comments. And see that you're kind of aware of this and that you're feeling on top of it, and you know what to do with it, because it's not an easy energy to deal with. And if you felt perplexed, I'm not surprised. This person is a very perplexing person, but they're perplexed themselves. Beyond that, I wish you well. These are the sort of relationships that are really intense, but they are also not easy. So I really do wish you well coming out of this, and I hope to see you in future readings.